Okay, so what we have here is a continuation of these introduction, kind of an introductory series to case relations, and this is going to help you construct sentences and I guess express whatever you want, help build sentences and I guess put whatever feelings you have, whatever thoughts, opinions, etc., into words and sentences like so, or as such in that manner. Um, this is again just a continuation of review of some things that I just want to touch up on and cover before we get into some the real nitty case relations examples and stuff like that. Uh, with this one though, we're going to talk about oblique case, or the oblique case in review, as well as some ergative possessives. And keep in mind, like, I want you to start reviewing or refreshing your memory or running through these concepts, right? The possessive pronouns, things about the possessive pronouns. Those are things I want you to start talking about or start thinking about in your mind, okay? Like, oh, how do I construct these possessive pronouns? What do I need? What do I want to express? How do I express a possessive pronoun, right? Those questions. Transitivity and ergativity, I want you to start thinking about recognizing actions that take objects and transference of objects or transference of indirectness objects and stuff like that, right? It really helps if you have a good grasp of direct and indirect objects in English because Cebuano works similarly to that, right? Or if you understand the concept of direct and indirect objects, especially indirect objects in Spanish, Cebuano works similarly to that too, right? And of course, other languages that have some sort of, I'm forgetting the case, is it the accusative? Yeah, the accusative case, right? That. With possessives, though, you could start realizing or understanding things to a different perspective. Maybe if you know a language that has the genitive case or something like that, right? A genitive case showing possession or ownership or relationship between two nouns. The first example I have here is ka, right? The prefix ka plus a post-ergative pronoun, and I mean a postposition or a postposed ergative pronoun, which you should already know, and again, that's why I'm telling you to review your possessive pronouns, because that's one of the topics you need to review about possessive pronouns are the post and the pre-ergative pronouns. So a post-ergative pronoun is the same as having sa plus your preposed ergative pronoun and a specifier. Why do we need a specifier? Look, we're talking about something in specific, right? That's why we triggered, or a specifier was triggered because we had to use a specific marker. And remember, sa and ang are one of those specific markers that specify something in specific, right? Versus og, which is non-specific, okay? So keep that in mind. And remember with the sa, right? Nga is also one of those things that can trigger a specifier, okay? But that's something completely different from another topic of another time. So right, we have a ka something, ka plus a post-ergative pronoun is the same as saying sa plus a preposed ergative pronoun and a specifier. And the example we have here is the kanako kanako is the same as saying sa ako a, okay? That a comes from that specifier. Why do we use a instead of ha? Remember, our specifiers are either a or ha, right? Why do we use ako a? Because there's a glottal stop here. Ako a, and glottal stops are always consonants or unstressed. Was it something that was unstressed? Yeah. Ako. Wait, is it stressed or unstressed? Or one of those things, yeah. So that's what we have to use a. Well, ha takes the others. Okay? And usually actually, a side note, a lot of Cebuano speakers, especially the young ones who don't know how to speak the language properly, tend to use this a lot more. But the older generation and I like to use this one, the more conservative oblique case, just because it sounds much more authentic Cebuano, much more mature Cebuano, so to speak, right? Modern Cebuano, more mature, more educated, more formal, and has a lot of class to it, I suppose. Um, Moving on, so that's just something with the oblique case I just wanted to touch up with, right? So you should already know how to make the construction for that and what are the pronouns involved, the pre and the post, right? Everything about that, right? This is just, again, a review, an introduction, and because after that we're just gonna fly on out from here on out. Now the second part is this part, like the possessive ergative pronouns, okay? Now to form the possessive pronouns, you need to have the ergative pronouns, you need to know them, and assuming at this point that you know them, you just need to review them, remember. If we have a pre-post ergative pronoun, such as ako, right? For example, ako plus nga plus whatever noun is the same as whatever noun plus nako, okay? So, ako plus nga plus whatever noun is the same as whatever noun plus nako, okay? And ako comes from that whole pre-ergative pronoun nako. Remember nako, which is the post, which is here, nako. That's where we get our ako from, okay? In the ergative case pronouns. That's where the ako comes from if we take away the na, letrang na, okay? And remember too that ako and nga can get combined into akong, okay? Just keep those rules in your mind that which pronouns can get contracted and which pronouns cannot get contracted and such and all that stuff, right? But from the general part, all of them can be contracted, just showing that. If you don't want to contract it, that is perfectly fine. A lot of people will contract it to a nga ligature, okay? And it's the same as saying XXX is the same, XXX nako, right? So noun nako. Akong whatever is the same as whatever nako, okay? Why am I telling you this though? Why are we reviewing these things? Well, first of all, right, I do want you to start thinking about how to construct sentences, how to build sentences, how to express yourselves in such manner, right? And what to start thinking about. But in order to do that, you need to gain a better understanding of Cebuano sentence structure. And in order to do that, we have to show you case relations. And that's why I'm doing these videos for you, because I know a lot of you out there have a hard time expressing yourself and wanting to start speaking and constructing sentences and start talking and all that stuff. But there are key things you need to understand before you can even start talking grammatical sentences, right? One of the things that is really important is that Cebuano is a verb initial or predicate initial kind of language, meaning, you know, your verb is going to be usually the first thing that comes first, right? It's a verb, subject, object, sentence structure, right? A VSO sentence structure. It's not like English where it's an SVO, okay? The idea comes first, and that's why Cebuano has a focal kind of system, a focal or a voice type system language, if this whole thing makes sense. On a brighter note, Cebuano is a very emotional language, so most of the speakers will show emotions, their expressions, facial expressions. They will wear their heart on their sleeve. Yeah, they will show you their emotions, they will show you how emotional they are, right? They will show you how they feel through language. And that's why Cebuano has so many colorful ways of saying and expressing so many things, because people feel very, very different degrees of things, right? To a degree of what extent, I don't know. That's dependent on the speaker. But Cebuano is one of those languages that do a lot of expressive emotions, okay? So when you see speakers, they do have a lot of actions with them. Facial actions, body language involved, body actions, etc. that are also involved to help convey their emotions. And finally, it's also to help you build your sentences and construct sentences. And how do we do that? Well, it all depends. Remember, we talked about VSO, right? But also negation plays involved. Negation, some fixed expressions, perception, depending on the person's perspectives, and the importance of whatever they want to talk about. All of that play a role on how sentences are constructed.